Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where today I am really excited. We're going to be making enchilada sauce, and we are going to preserve it two ways. We're going to pressure can some and we are going to freeze some. One of the things that was requested by several of our viewers in terms of the classes that we have been offering is they wanted a class on how to get away from getting so much processed food from the grocery store. And they wanted a class on that. And I've thought a lot about that. And what I came up with is we embed that idea in just about everything that we show when we can it or freeze it or make it from scratch. And so what I'm going to do is start making that really evident and intentionally mentioning the fact that we're going to do enchilada sauce today, which we're going to process and preserve ourselves so that people don't have to buy it from the grocery store. Now, don't get me wrong, I use canned enchilada sauce from the grocery store all the time. In fact, this will be actually the first time that I have canned enchilada sauce. I usually make things up fresh when I need it and then just enough for that recipe. So this will be a good exercise for all of us so that we can wean ourselves away from super processed things available in the grocery store, and we can be in control of every ingredient that goes into our mix. So this recipe is a tested recipe from this book, the All New Ball Book of Canning and Preserving. And here is the beautiful picture that they show of this sauce. And it is quite a viscous sauce, and for that reason, we are just going to be doing it in pints because the heat transfer in pints is better than heat transfer in quarts. It takes longer in quarts because there's more mass. And so we're going to do it in pints, and the recommendation is to do it in pints. So that's what we're going to do for the portion of this that we are going to pressure can. The other part, the part that we freeze, we're just going to be putting it about the same amount, about 2 cups, same as a pint, in quart freezer bags and laying them flat in our freezer and then putting them in the bin that I have reserved for sauces. Now, I have done quite a bit of Mexican cooking. Years and years ago, when my first husband and I lived in Waco, Texas, there were some Hispanic women in our church that taught a lot of us about Mexican cooking. And I do my red sauce, which is the basis for this enchilada sauce, a little bit differently than is described here. Now, because this is copyrighted and because as a longtime educator, I have a very keen respect for copyright law. I won't violate that. However, they have published this online, so it's in the public domain. And what I have done, I just went to that location and printed out the recipe, and you can do the same thing. I will put the link to the recipe right in below the description of the video so that you can download it and print it out yourself and have it. Now, I have the ingredients all set out and pre-measured, so we're ready to go that way. But I want to talk about the process. I am changing the process of what we put together in what order and how we do the peppers. I'm going to do the peppers the way I learned from those Hispanic women, and it is far easier than step 1 that is right here. So the first thing that we are going to do is, rather than deal with the peppers the way step 1 in the recipe is, we're going to get, because I'm going to be dumping the peppers in here in this pot, and the onions have to be sauteed. So I'm using 5 cups of onions. I have the equivalent of 4 cloves of garlic. I used my dried minced garlic and I put it right on the top of the onions. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil in the bottom of this pan as called for in the recipe. And then I'm going to turn the heat on. And we are going to saute some onions. So I don't think that very many of you need to see that process. So we'll just get it started and then we'll go off camera and finish, and I will bring you back when the onions are all sauteed. All right, so I'm going to just dump, this is 5 cups of onions and the garlic. And I'm just going to stir until these are sauteed. So we will come back when the onions are ready. All right, we are back, and I wanted to show you what we have to do with these onions. They have to go beyond just being translucent. They need to be caramelized. Now notice the bottom of this pan, how it's caramelized, which really helps the onions be caramelized as well. Even up the side of the pan, at least over here, which you can't see, it's all caramelized as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. So these are the peppers that I use. These are, the brand is Christopher Ranch. It's a new brand for me. I usually find something else which I can't remember. But these are New Mexico chilies. Using either New Mexico chilies or California chilies gives the sauce a little bit more mild flavor, and that's what I like. But these are the longer peppers. They're about like this. Now, what the instructions say for us to do is to toast the peppers on a very hot griddle in a skillet 8 to 10 seconds, and it's an involved process where you peel the skin off and then you have to soak them in boiling water. Well, this is what I learned from my friends in Waco. I'm going to use the whole pepper, and I have done this for years and years as my basic red sauce. And my red sauce is the foundation for enchilada sauce, for tamales that my daughter and I make about every other year. The recipe calls for 12 peppers, and so I've taken 12 and put them in this little container. And I'm just going to cut the stem end off. Some of the seeds are going to pop out. And then I'm going to drop 6 peppers in here with skins and seeds. I really like using the skins and the seeds. It gives such a nice flavor to the peppers. So, but I don't like the stem, of course. Okay, so this is 6. I lost track. Then I have 2 cups of hot water. I'm just going to put 1 cup of hot water in here. And we are going to blend them together. And we have the foundation for my red sauce. And so the next step is, I'm going to stir these onions because that bottom is probably still a little bit hot. Yeah. And this is going to end up, because the recipe says for us to soak the peppers for 20 minutes to soften them up after you've gotten the skins off. And then it says for us to save 1 cup of the soaking water. Soaking water was 2 cups. I'm going to use both of the cups of water in our sauce because I'm adding more mass with the skins and the seeds. So here we go with this. And then I'm just going to run the rest of the water in here. And we'll be back when I have finished with the peppers. All right, here is the second batch of the peppers going in. And look how beautiful that sauce is already. So that is the foundation for my red sauce. Now we're not done with the blender, so I'm not worried about getting every little bit out of this. More of this will come out in just a few minutes. All right, the next thing that we're going to do, and remember the heat is now off, we're going to add, let me make sure I get this right, 6 cups of chopped tomatoes. So that would be 2 28-ounce cans. Half a cup of brown sugar. And the spices. So this is 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of ground cumin, and 1 teaspoon of ground red pepper. So those are all going in. Now, the heat is still off. I'm not ready to turn it back on yet. I'm going to stir all of these ingredients together. Trying to make sure that each ingredient is equally distributed throughout the mixture. At this point, I'm just going to give it a little taste. It's good. Now, with canning, with any kind of canning, you can adjust the seasonings if you wish. It's not a problem to do that. You need to be careful with other ingredients and also with the process. Now, I am adjusting the process, but if you looked closely at that picture, the sauce, the enchilada sauce in the picture was quite viscous. And so the next step here is to blend everything together because we don't want a lumpy sauce. So we're going back to the blend. I'm going to blend this in batches and then get it in a larger bowl, and then we'll put it back in here and we're going to get it super hot and simmer it until it's thick enough to can, which it almost is. So here we go. So we'll do it about 2 scoops at a time. And here is our enchilada sauce. It is pretty much the right consistency right now because of the way I changed the method just a little bit. So probably what we will be doing, it says to simmer this for about 25 minutes to thicken up. I don't think we're going to need to thicken it up, but we'll see. So there's 2 cups, 2 scoops. And we'll be back when this part is done.
Okay, we are on. We have sound.
All right, so everything is now back in here, all smooth and blended. And we're supposed to have about 8 pints. And according to the scale on the side of this pan, it looks like we have just a little bit more than half of that amount. I don't know about that, so it seems to me that it's more than 4 pints, but we'll see. Now, the reason that we cook this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, we want the flavors to blend just a little bit. They'll do a whole lot more blending as they process, that's for sure. Mostly it is to boil it down so that it gets about to this viscosity. This is about the perfect viscosity. And so adding that extra skin and seeds and grinding it up, thickened it up just a little bit, about to the right viscosity. And then the last reason is it needs to be boiling hot when we put it in the jars. So that is our primary, for this batch, all we really need to do is to get it hot and ready to go into the jars. Okay, I am filling jars with the boiling hot enchilada sauce, leaving 1 inch of headspace as described in the recipe. I'm going to fill 3 jars, then we will see where we are with what's left and how much we may want to do for freezing, and maybe 1 more jar of canning, we'll see. All right, now I'm going to fill a pint that I'm going to dump in there so that I will have the right measurement. All right, I think we can get one more pint of for the canner. All right, let's get these ready for the canner. I'm going to set this one aside over here. I want that to cool before it goes into the freezer. So I'm going to check for air bubbles on each of these. Just give it a quick stir. It's not likely that there were any in there, but we do it anyway. And then I have a damp paper towel. I'm going to, wow, that's hot. Wipe the rims, lids. Because I have only 4 pints, I could have done this in the Instant Pot Max, but it was the Nesco that I got out, so that's what we're going to be using. And I want to reiterate that because this recipe mentions only pints, that we are limited to canning this sauce in pints. There's a very good reason that I stated earlier. It has to do with heat transfer. We don't want to increase the risk because this is low acid food. All right, so those are in. I already have a couple of inches of water in the bottom, 2 quarts of water in the bottom, and we're ready to get this started. So my pressure regulator needs to be in the up position. Plug it in. Regardless of your elevation, the processing time is 50 minutes. So we're going to put 50 here. Actually, we're going to start on high. Now we're going to put 53, 4, 5. Well, it always gets me. So we're all set. The Nesco takes care of everything. The only thing we'll have to do is once the once the air has been purged and it has vented for 10 minutes, we have to come down and we have to drop the regulators in the down position to hold the steam inside to build the pressure. So we're going to put that to start, and we can now go back and finish. I'm just going to freeze everything that is left. I don't think it'll be quite a pint, but it will be enough for us to do some fun things with. So this one does not quite have 2 cups in it. We're just going to leave these out and let them cool down a little bit before I seal them up. Then I'm going to lay them flat in this little pan, put them in the freezer, freeze them flat, and I probably will not have those to show you today, but I think you can imagine how that's going to be. Then I stack them up in a bin inside the freezer, and we will have 2 bags of enchilada sauce, and we'll have 4 pints. So that's a total of 5.5, close to 6 pints instead of the 8 pints. And I think the difference probably is by the size of the peppers. Some of those red peppers are much longer than others. And so don't be alarmed if you don't come up with the exact amount as stated in the recipe. Even after adding that extra cup of water, I still only did not reach that 8 pints. But I'm very satisfied. The taste is really delicious. We will be back when the canner is completely finished, and I can show you these in progress as we go. So I'll see you in a couple of hours. The canner just finished its cool down, and again, we let always with pressure canning, we let it have a natural cool down. We don't want the machine to cool it down. And so sometimes it takes a long time. It takes about an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And I'm going to turn it so that I can reach the jars. And there we are. Looks like we have a little bit of separation of the sauce. When these cool, we can just shake it up again and it will be fine. Okay, so no siphoning, for which I am deeply grateful. Let's take a look at the 2 packages that we are freezing. So here they are, and they haven't started forming crystals yet, but they're nice and flat, and they will freeze this way. And so then we will put them in our big freezer in a bin that I keep for sauces. So this is, I think, very successful. We'll let these cool all the way, then shake them up and then get them out in our food storage. Now, one of the ways that this contributes to our desire to not work with over-processed foods that we buy straight from the grocery store or other places is that this sauce is very, very versatile. It can be used for not only enchiladas, but all kinds of other things as well. Anytime you want that flavor with that deep, rich red chili, the red sauce foundation, you can use it in salads, you can use it in beans, you can use it in all kinds of different things to flavor dishes, along with, of course, enchiladas and tacos. And this is not quite my tamale sauce. There's too much tomato in it, but it's close to tamales as well. I think this has been very successful. I'm very grateful to have these 4 pints. That will give us 4 meals at the level 1 of our food storage, where we are attempting to get 60 days worth of meals in our freezer, refrigerator, and pantry. We are talking a lot about that right now. So we are building toward those 60 meals. So thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoy this recipe. Remember, the link will be just right under the description of the video. So be sure you share our channel and subscribe if you have not. That way you will get notifications every time we put out a new video. So we will see you very soon for another Rose Red Homestead video.